Okay, so it says we are live, Shem. We are going to get started before this thing cuts out on us. We're going to go to where this is. If anyone is tuned in right now, we have been trying to go live for some time now, and it appears as though we are, and I'm going to be tightening Shem's locks, but it's buffering, so we'll just see. We'll see what happens. All right, so we're going to get as much as we can. So what I'm doing is I'm going to be doing this young man's hair. His hair is really thick, really thick, and he's been asking me, "Mommy, can you tighten my locks?" you know. But I want y'all to see how thick it is. It's really a task. I will definitely not be able to get done with all of this. Let me turn this audio down. I'm sorry about that, family. I will definitely not be doing all of this on camera. Shem is very tender-headed. He's very tender-headed. I'll leave it right there. Aren't you tender-headed, Shem? So I can't get all of that on camera. So what I'm going to do is get what I can on camera. We are buffering really bad. Yeah, sister, brother Brian, sister Tracy got a task on our hands, and yeah, we're already buffering. So I'm going to go ahead and get started. We already washed and scrubbed Shem's hair, so we have this water to keep it wet during the process. And so, Shem, real quick, I need you to go over into that cabinet, get my oil. We have different oil mixtures that we come up with for their hair. I know, family, I know the connection isn't that great. That's why we're not going to be on here. Let me see that. We're not going to be on here that long, not that one, because the connection is horrible. So, yes, that's good. Oh. I'm sorry to hear that, Andrea, about your parakeet. Very sorry to hear that. But anyway, we're going to get started with this hair of Shem's. I love Shem's hair. I absolutely love it. Me and my husband say that all of the time, that we love Shem's hair. So we like to get it nice and oiled while it's wet. Okay. Okay, Black Glitter says that this will take a couple of days. You are absolutely right. 2, maybe 3. But it's really a trip doing his hair. It's a trip. I'll just leave it right there. It's a trip. But his hair is really thick. And what I may have to do is do as much as I can on camera here. And then from there, I will have to show you all the rest later. We use these clips right here to, yes, a horrible connection, family. I'm sorry. We use these clips to hold it all together while we're doing our little separation. So I'm just going to get started. I usually section it off, but because I have this horrible connection, I don't have time to do much at all. It'll probably just sign us out real quick. But in the meantime, I'm just going to get started. Yes, Nama, he is tender-headed, very tender-headed. We covered that part when we first started. We have 2 techniques we use for tightening. The palm roll. And then we also, we have this little needle thing that my husband made that is kind of like a crocheting needle, but it's smaller. That makes it, tightens it down to the base of the scalp there really good. But we're just doing the quick route today, and maybe at a later date we will come back and do the other method of tightening. But I'm going to get as much as I can done in camera before the live disconnects us, okay? Now, I'm really glad that my older girls, they are able to do something different. They can do their own hair now. But I still have a lot of heads to do, and it's a trip getting to it. You have to get to it when you can. Life is so busy, especially when you live on a farm. Life can get very busy, and so. But Shem just finally said, "Mommy, look, can you just hook me up today, please? It's a little chilly today, a little wet." So I said, "Sure." Someone says, "I bet if Granddad Watchman had hair, he would be dreaded up too." It's kind of funny because his brothers, he have brothers that have the missing hair like he does, and then he have some brothers that have a head full of hair. His oldest brother has a head full of beautiful gray hair, you see, and the brother that I think is next to him in age, or the next to him, two above him, he has a head full of gray hair as well. But my husband took after one of his other brothers who has the, disappearing hairline thing. And so we have a feeling our son, Aliyah, is already on his way there. We were joking about that not long ago, that his hairline is already going backwards. But I don't foresee Shemuel. Look at that. I don't foresee. He's young. He's only 14, but I don't foresee Shemuel losing that hairline anytime soon. He's probably going to take after his uncle, who has a really good hairline. Like I said, this is not my preferred method of tightening, but this is the method we are using today. And I'm probably going to end the stream after a bit because I know it's frustrating watching it like this. And come back and show you the end results when we are done. Okay. Alrighty. So maybe we'll do just this one section here. Anything you want to say to the people, Shemuel? Say, Mommy, just don't make me say ouch, because this boy, this boy is tender-headed. Really tender-headed. Benjamin, he's not as tender-headed as Shem is. But Shem is a lot like I was when I was a kid. Man, all my mother had to do was just barely touch my head like that. And it was like an ouch moment for me, you know. Yeah, this is a lot of thick hair. You do have a point there, black glitter, you said the boys always have. Now, Sophia's hair is extremely thick. Her and Hannah's hair, both of their hair is really thick like this. Well, not quite as thick. I think Sophia's is, but not Hannah's. Hannah's is thick, but not this thick. Aliyah's is too, though. Her hair is pretty thick too, so they all have that really thick hair. The little one, hers isn't as thick, and Grace's isn't as thick either. Is it still coming through really choppy, family? I'm surprised we're still connected because we had a difficult time getting this going. Is it still coming through choppy? Now, usually what I do to these parts right here, because that's growing out so much and that's loose hair, I just form a whole new other lock with that loose hair there. A whole other lock. And all of that, you see all of that loose hair around the edges there? We're going to form whole new locks with all of that loose hair. Okay? And then underneath as well, you're going to see, now there's no way he would let me do this part live because I have some detangling to do. You see that? I have some detangling to do. And that's one of those challenging parts for Shemuel. He's going to be like, Mommy, you got to shut the live off because I cannot let people see me endure that detangling process. And I wouldn't do that to him anyway. I thank you all for being patient with us, family, with the choppy video. I really appreciate that. I told Shem we weren't going to be live long. This is why we don't do our live on Shabbats anymore. We're going to have to pre-record because our service is horrible. And the last time we called AT&T, from my understanding, they are not taking or doing any service calls. I mean, that was the last time. We haven't called them since last week. So now, Chamiya asks, can you undo locks without cutting them all of the hair off? It is very possible, but you will still lose a lot of hair. And it also depends on how far along you are into the locks, okay? If you are really far along in it, it might not be possible. And it depends on the hair texture, too. I dropped one of my clips, but that's okay. We're going to leave it. It depends on the hair texture, too. But if you are maybe a year or two into it, it's possible. You know, some people, I've seen others remove locks that have been in for a while. I have seen that, so I can't say what it's like for someone else's hair. I had one of my children maybe 5 years ago. We took their locks down and restarted, and so it worked. So again, it depends. Looking at Shem's, his hair grows really fast. We had actually cut his locks out, took his locks out at one time and started over. They were up here and they have grown a whole lot since they've been put back in. So with boys' hair, I would say just cut it off and start over. Cut it out and start over. It's not a big deal. With women either, it depends on who it is. But I've known a lot of sisters who have cut their locks out. I did the same. I actually did mine a couple of years ago, and I have them back. So they are essentially new locks, but I wanted to start over as well, and so that is what I have done. Now we have two locks here that have merged together, and I won't dare try to detach them on camera. Shem ain't gonna have that. So we're just gonna go right on to this next one here. Okay, have you tried to hardwire your internet, Noah? Guess what? This is hardwired. This is hardwired. It's just that we are in a rural area, and so service is not always the best. Someone asks, how do you start locks the correct way? Well, there are a number of different ways. In our household, we tried it a couple of different ways. They started off with just regular twist locks. And then for the rest of the children, like Shem and the younger children and Benjamin, we did braid locks. And so as you can see, there is no braid pattern left in his hair. You can't even see it. It's completely gone. Look at that. No braid pattern, lean forward at all. That is just Shem's locks, really thick locks here. And as someone stated, yes, it's going to take me 2, maybe 3 days to finish Shem's hair because it's so much. It's literally, I mean, it's not impossible, but I would have to have a whole day where I don't have anything else to do in order to get Shem's hair done all in the same day. The younger ones is different. I'm able to get their hair done because they don't have as much, but with the older ones with all this thick hair and all of these individual locks, it's a task. But I guess what? Kadri says that Kadira. I'm sorry, I don't know if I'm pronouncing your name right. You said you're still scared to get locks. I think locks are definitely something that you want to be sure of. You know, you definitely want to be sure of if you're going to get locks. Now, someone asked, what do you use? We have our own oils that we use, our own soap, shampoo bars, or regular shampoo that we make ourselves. And then there was another question here. What are the materials you need to twist your own hair? Now, we use oil. We learned a lesson a long time ago that you don't want to use like the thick butters and things. It's better to use oil and dry your hair as best as possible when you are done styling it, washing it, because what happens is it can start to get buildup. And so when you use oil and then you dry your hair the way it should be dried, you don't have as many problems. Any recommendations for beards? The same. We got our first ouch out of Shem, so I need to slow it down, right? Sorry about that, son. What we usually do, my husband does, is the same stuff that we use for our hair. Depending, I don't know what you're trying to do with your beard, but my husband asked me if I could start braiding but the same shampoo that you use on your hair, you can use on your beard. We used to sell our items years ago. I haven't had time. I'm going to be honest with you. I haven't had time to really try to market. We have so many things going on, but my husband said that since we're getting a little more settled down, that I should really try to do that again. Um, and at some point, Yah willing, of course, I hope to be able to do that. The different oils we know how to make our own, just about everything that we need for our bodies. Deodorant, shampoo, hair oils, body butters, whatever. And we've been doing that for a long time. And at some point, Yah willing, we may get back into that and introduce it through our AHA herbs. Let me try to get this loose here. I have to get these loose. Usually if you have two that are stuck like this, and it's just strands of hair, you can just kind of cut through the strands like that real gently, and that eliminates the ouch. So there I got my two separate locks now. Shem didn't have to say ouch. And here we go. Coconut oil, Mr. Wilford says that's good for locks. That is in our oils. We have a combination of oils that we use. That is one of the oils that is in there. It's the idea for the leaves of the tree you guys have to be sold online. At some point we will. If you're referring to the ginkgo biloba tree, we drink the tea from the leaves. That is really, to me, it's delicious. At some point, we do want to do that, and we don't know when yet. A lot of times, people try to pin us down on a time, but we say, you know what, no promises. So I'm going to let you all see how much more I have to go. I have a lot more to go. Right now I'm just chatting with you all until I get this section done, because this is the section that I had already somewhat detangled. And so Shem is definitely not going to want me to go back into this stuff right here with him on camera. Because at that point he's going to be like, okay, mommy, it's getting a little tangled and twisted, and I don't want these people to see me saying ouch. So we will have to cut out after we're done with this section here. Yep. Okay, we're almost there, young man. Oh, sorry, there was a little jump there. Did y'all see that? A little jump there. Okay, sit back. We're gonna try to keep it cool. Gonna try to keep it cool. Yep. Try to keep it real cool. Someone just said we are Hamites. Whatever. I'm learning. I'm learning how to ignore certain things, if you know what I mean, and not get into things. But it's a process, isn't it, Shem? Isn't it a process?
Yeah.
It is a process. Did we name all of them after with names from the Bible? Not initially. They had like the, I would say, the generic, like Shem's name is actually Samuel. You see, but we don't call him that anymore. We call him what is actually called in the Bible, and he's gotten used to it. So essentially, we did, but not the correct spellings. Only with our younger children. So we're getting down to the nitty gritty on this section here. And then with these, we're going to create whole new locks. Y'all see that? Lean forward this way. Now this lock right here is thinning out. So I'm not going to do him right now because what I'm going to do is I'm going to gather some of this hair that's grown around the edge and I'm going to have to doctor him. You see that? I'm going to doctor that lock. That's a method that we learned some time ago. Sometimes you can doctor a lock or combine a lock. And so I'm going to just leave this aside to determine. I'm sorry I had to create that little situation, Shem. Sorry. We all right. We cool. We're going to leave that doctor lock alone. Okay? And this is another one that is, it doesn't need to be doctored, but it's kind of mended together, and I don't want to keep it like that, so we'll work with him later as well. All right? So what I'm going to do is I'm going to go ahead and finish this part with the remaking of new locks. And then that will be the end of our live stream. Now, someone asked, are we still selling seeds? No, we weren't selling them. We are giving them away. It took us some time to go through. We literally got over 600 emails or 600 responses, and we only have 60 that we're sending out. And so we just now got all of the names listed we actually went back to the very first ones because we wanted to be fair. We went back to the very first ones. So we've already got those separated. The seeds are already in the envelopes. Now we've just got to print out the labels with the names and send them off. And I hope to do that one day this week. We try to limit going out as much as possible. So y'all have to bear with us. We will get those out to those 60 that we chose because we got hundreds of responses. So no, we don't sell seeds. We're giving these away. Although I've heard that a lot of seed companies are just literally overwhelmed with orders because of this COVID-19 thing that's going on. Okay. That's wonderful news, Donna. I'm glad to hear that you're hanging in there. And so that right there, I just created another lock. Right now it just looks like a braid. But in time, that will form into a lock. And you won't be able to see the braid pattern at all. Okay? And so for those of you who came in late, I'm just taking this hair that's along the edges of Shem's hair that has grown out like this. Instead of merging it into another lock, I'm just creating a whole new lock. This is just hair that grows out from the edge. And so I'm creating a whole new lock with this edge hair. And I'm going to come back at a later time and show you the finished results of what this young man's hair looks like. So for those of you who are wondering about braid locks, Braid locks are very, very instrumental in helping you to maintain length when creating a lock. You're going to get the same result, okay? Even with twist locks, you have to wait for that twist pattern to kind of disappear. So the same concept. Getting tongue tied there. The same concept with braids is over time that braid pattern will disappear. So that's why we are doing braid locks. And for those of you who are wondering about locking your hair, it is a commitment, but guess what? It's a lot easier to deal with in terms of not having to fuss with your hair all of the time, every single day. You want to keep your braids or your locks, should I say, moisturized, but with other hairstyles where you have to curl and do all of this other stuff, it literally takes a long time to just do your hair all day, every day. And that's time that we just don't have. You see, it's time that we just don't have, especially those of us who are farming or homeschooling or whatever. Everybody's at home right now. There was a lot of people at home. So you have a lot more time to do a lot of things. But these locks make it so you don't have all of the fuss with your hair constantly. Okay, so I'm going to leave it right here. Like I said, I have to repair that particular lock, and I don't want to do that on camera here. So I'm going to just show you. I still have a whole lot more to go. And I'm going to give you a sneak peek of what this tightened hair looks like. I'm going to take these clips out, and I'm going to show you what I can do, or what I do sometimes. You will see that the hair is so tightened to where you'll be able to see the scalp in this area here. Okay. And you'll be able to see the tightness of the locks, and you see how it's down to the root pretty much. And so what I can do is braid all of this together. Now don't let this scare you, for those of you who have sons. Let me do these two real quick here. What I'm going to do is I'm going to kind of tie his hair together. I'm going to tie his hair together, and when I take, when it's all done and I take it out, take out the big sections that I'm putting together, his hair is probably going to be curly, but it's okay. It is okay. So you see how that is tightened down like that to his scalp? Much different than this. We still have a long way to go. And so sitting here, we've been here about 30 minutes. And so if I wanted to continue, I could get his hair done. So you see this? This is 30 minutes of tightening. And so if I wanted to time myself, that would be another 30 minutes there, 30 minutes in the top. So that's an hour right there. And I'm just estimating, y'all. That's 2 hours, because that's 30 minutes, 3 hours. I'm thinking another 4 hours on Shem's hair. And if I don't have 4 straight hours, that's usually why it takes me 2 days if I don't have 4 straight hours to do something. And so I just wanted to show you all that section right there that is already tightened. Okay. And so what I'm going to do now is I'm going to tighten all of that together like that. As a matter of fact, can I braid it? Is it too thick to braid? I'm going to see if I can braid this. That'll keep it all tight. And once I'm done, he'll be able to blow dry his hair somewhat. You want to blow dry it as much as you can. Okay? To get all of that moisture out of there. And in between everything, you want to keep the hair wet, moisturized, and then you want to put the oil on as well. So now that I've done that, this section is done. I am going to clip this off like that. Okay, I don't have to deal with this right here anymore until it is finished. Okay, and so family, I am going to sign off. Look, Shem, someone says you look like a next generation warrior. Yes, that's right. That is absolutely right. He is. It kind of reminds me of Samson, and a number of others in the scripture that where it talks about all of that hair. But this is definitely that Israelite hair. Look at that stuff right there. Look at all of that thick hair. It's really, really amazing. It's a baraka, and like I said, I really love Shem's hair. The texture is perfect. The thickness is awesome. This is actually protection up here. This is protection. Anyway, we love you, family. We thank you all for sitting through this choppy video of ours. And we're going to go ahead and sign off so I can just flow through his hair and maybe get another hour in today and then get back to it a little bit later. Get back to it a little later. A future king. Absolutely. Yeah. That's my shimmy. Okay, family, we love you. With that, we will say shalom.
Shalom.
Mm-hmm.